Okay, so do you guys see me on OBS? Yeah. There we go. I think we should be good. No video. Okay, that's what I was waiting for. Okay, we should be good. We should have video now. Okay, because that's what I see. All right, cool. Should be in 1080p if you got the plan for it. If not, get yourself a VPN or upgrade your plan. All right, my good people. I can help you with OBS, dude. It's too hard. I mean, dude, I'm basically a caveman and I can do it. All right, my good people. What is on the agenda for today? You guys aren't getting video? Really? Okay, you are getting video. Okay. All right, what is on the agenda? Let's see here. We are going to be talking about Starlink, obviously. I'm going to talk a little bit about the competition side of home internet. It's coming from all types of places. Let's see. Where are we getting home internet from? We're getting it from traditional cable. We're getting it from fixed wireless access. We're getting it from fiber. We're getting it from satellite. There's a lot. And then we've got these government-funded programs which are going to accelerate infrastructure builds and make people want to, you know, incentivize them to make money and provide more connectivity to more places throughout the country, including rural America and underserved America. The reason I say underserved America is because there are parts of this country, many parts, extensive parts, with one option. By one option, I mean two companies. Because when you only have one company that offers internet where you live, that's not an option. You're stuck. You have no option. So yeah, it's fine. Viasat, HughesNet, all that's great. Now you got Starlink. There's going to be T-Mobile home internet. It's going to be expanding, you know, Verizon as well. So we got a lot. So, yeah, 1 second, y'all. We are back. Here we go. All right. All right, my good people. So we're going to talk about the home internet stuff. That's a good one. Another topic we'll talk about is, the fiber thing. So apparently you guys remember learning about the gold rush back in school? Well, there's the fiber rush going on right now. Freaking crazy. Fiber, man. Apparently it's gold. And we're also going to talk about the Verizon and TracFone deal. So it's going to be a short one. Those will be the main points. I will elaborate and expand on a lot of these things. So it'll probably run us about 30 minutes. So hang tight. Hope you got something cold to drink. Let's do it. All right, first topic. This is what I was asking you guys to do in the voting, in the poll. Please go to the live chat. Go into the poll. It says, is Starlink real competition to T-Mobile home internet? Please vote now. We got 46 votes. Got 46 viewers, so that's cool. Go ahead and vote. Get your votes in. Let's start with the story now. All right, so SpaceX and Starlink, they're doing it, ladies and gentlemen. They are a legitimate home internet option. This whole Starlink experiment is working. It's a go. There's a lot of highlights so far, and it's very early onset of the business. So even though it's in the short term, I mean, how long has it been operating? I think it's been pretty much like 8 months? They started launching satellites like a year ago or something like that. It's very early. And we already have a ton of positives and some major upside that's apparent to me. All right, so here are some of the things that I would consider to be highlights of the achievements thus far for Starlink. Just in the last month, so we're just talking about the month of July, because now they got the numbers and they're disclosing them. Starlink has boosted its subscriber base during the month of July by 30%. That's pretty substantial. That means they're meeting the demands of the orders that people are trying to get the service. So they're shipping out the hardware, which is the dish itself, all the anchoring equipment, the gateway. It looks like stuff's coming together for their supply. And they're getting them shipped out and they're fulfilling orders. So as people are signing up for the beta, which I think it's called the Better Than Nothing beta, I think. It's good stuff. They are fulfilling the demand. Next highlight. The total number of customers is now exceeding 90,000 subscribers, up from 70,000 in June. So that's where that 30% increase comes from, right? The transition from what they had in June to what they had at July. They now cover subscribers in 12 countries. They are utilizing about 1,700 satellites currently at this moment in time. And the services are still technically in beta, this Better Than Nothing beta, but it looks like people are enjoying it. People are showing speed tests. People are showing there we go. I had a little glitch there for a second. Yeah, people are showing the speed testing. The reliability is there. The uplink is there. The latency has improved. A lot of the early problems have been dealt with pretty handily by Starlink. And they're pretty common problems. You know, they're very typical of the growing pains of an internet service provider. And I think more so the satellite internet service provider, in my opinion. You know, so to me, I think they're doing fine. So the goal is to get 42,000 satellites in orbit by mid-2027. It's a big term. The speed goal is currently at 50 to 150 megabits, so you can see it's kind of modest. They're not telling you they're going to blow your socks off. They're telling you, hey, it's the early onset. Temper your expectations. You can't expect blazing speeds at this time, but we'll kind of keep you between 50 to 150 megabits per second. Some people, like Carlos at Carlos S Tech, moderators, if I can get a link to his channel in the live chat, he's seeing like 200 to 400 megabits, depending on the satellite he's connected to, depending on the time of the day, the quality of the connection. They're getting it. They're getting it. They're doing a nice job. Big shout out to John. Thanks for the super chat, man. Appreciate you. So they have indicated that you need to temper your expectations a little bit because they probably feel like they can't guarantee 200 or 400 off the bat. But a lot of people are seeing it. Some people have reported the occasional intermittent outage kind of coming and going, and that's to be expected, you know, with the new service and with satellite. The nice thing about the Starlink is that it looks like they're going to be transitioning to not just only home internet, but it looks like they're also going to be trying to get their way into operating for home as well as RV, right? So mobile home application. They're also looking at business use cases. So what exactly would a business use case be? Well, obviously they want to potentially work in the mobility side of things. That would mean, so besides like home office and an RV, well, what about a boat? Or what about cars? How about freight? Right, in shipment? How about flight uses? I mean, come on, man. You mean to tell me that United Airlines, the Delta Airlines, the Spirit Airlines, they wouldn't be interested in this service? I think it would be wise for them to investigate. And that's kind of one of those, you know, business segments where Starlink can grow. Big shout out to Marc. Thanks for the super chat, bud. I appreciate you very much. Always so supportive of the channel. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Now, here's the thing. When they transition from just doing the home stuff, so like the home equipment is one thing. But when they start doing mobility, that changes things a lot, right? They're going to have to change the hardware a little bit. So in my opinion, they're going to obviously have to ruggedize that equipment more compared to what they have stationary at someone's home. So they're definitely in progress of developing something that's a little bit more durable. For sure, the dish itself is going to be more rugged. It's going to need a slightly different design. You know, it's going to have to be a little bit tougher. They are saying that it's probably going to have higher gain. They're probably, lower transmit power than the home equipment because it's not going to be stationary per se. But it's nice that they're exploring this. I think the end game is for them to be a mobility, like with the freight, the airlines and stuff like that. That makes perfect sense. Also, they're talking about using the 12 gigahertz spectrum. You know who else was talking about using 12 gigahertz spectrum? Was Dish. So the 12 gigahertz spectrum is for satellite operations. Dish wants to use it for terrestrial, for cellular. I don't know how that's going to play out. You guys tell me, what do you think the FCC is going to do? Are they going to keep it on the satellite side, or are they going to divvy up some of it for cellular and some of it for satellite? It's crazy. I wonder how that's going to play out. That's like an episode topic in and of itself. We could speculate and how that's going to play out. Either way, I mean, it's going to be in use, so I'm good with it. Just so you guys know, some of the current frequencies that are possible uses for Starlink. All right, so I think currently they are operating in the V-band. So we're talking 40 to 75 gigahertz spectrum assets. That's really high frequency stuff. That is millimeter wave all day. I guess soon, and I think Starlink has actually asked the FCC for the clearance on this. They have to change the rules on some of this stuff. Yeah, Zeke, I was thinking the same thing. It would have to be auctioned, or some of it would be retained in satellite, some of it would get auctioned. Maybe some of it stays with Dish for cellular use. Who knows what the FCC wants to do with the fourth carrier, right? We'll see. But I guess possibly soon Starlink is going to put in to use the KU bands, or excuse me, KU and KA. So the KU is 12 to 18 gigahertz. That's kind of what we were alluding to with the 12 gigahertz stuff. That's as low a KU band as it gets. And then the KA band is from 26.5 to 40 gigahertz. So it's more like traditional millimeter wave that we know, because that's what the wireless providers are using, like N260, N261. 260 is 39 gigahertz, and 261 is 28 gigahertz. There's 24. There's all types of frequencies. I mean, I think T-Mobile's got 47 gigahertz too. Maybe AT&T does also. I don't know if Verizon does anymore. But there's all types of spectrum available to be used. Specifically in terms of the downlink side, things getting a little technical here. The 10.7 to 12.7 gigahertz and the 17.8 to 18.6 gigahertz. Also 18.8 to 19.3 and 37.5 to 42.5. So not to get too technical, but those are the frequencies that we're seeing the downlink and the uplink for those bands. So when we're talking about the KU and the KA. Looking at the uplink, it's a little bit different. So those are separate. So the uplink is 14 to 14.5 gigahertz, 27.5 to 29.1, and then 29.5 to 30, 47.2 to 52.4. All types of different ways that they can utilize their connections. Starlink has a lot to choose from in where they can operate. I mean, think about it. They've got the upside. They've got the graces of the people. Elon Musk can do no wrong. And he's got all this stuff at his disposal, right? And I think he's going to get a lot of support, honestly. Seriously. I think it's going to be huge. Oh, and by the way, all of this included with QAM technologies. You guys know about QAM technologies. We've been seeing it in cellular too. Man, I know Dish wants the 12 gigahertz spectrum for cellular. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I am positive that Starlink is going to get a chance to use it. Now, it's going to need FCC approval. I know that Starlink says that they want to start putting up some lower orbit satellites. That's important because that improves latency. So some of you guys are gamers out there. Some of you need latencies below 50 milliseconds. Starlink says they want to get under 20 milliseconds. Well, if they can get under 20 milliseconds, they're competing with cable and fixed wireless all day. If they can get closer to 10 milliseconds, then they're almost competing with fiber. Almost. Most fiber connections are under 10 milliseconds. Some are 5, some are 3. I've seen screenshots of 1 millisecond. Somebody told me they have 0 millisecond latency on their fiber. I think they were telling me it's measured in nanoseconds because it's not even a measurable millisecond. So with the FCC approval, they get the lower orbit satellite. That helps the latencies. As they launch more and more satellites, they add more capacity and coverage. So much potential. Fresh off the heels of reports and a bunch of info and data about Starlink competing with terrestrial networking. So we're talking about cable ISPs. We're talking about fixed wireless access. They're right there, if not better in some cases. Oh, and by the way, they're going to kill DSL. DSL is done. Done like dinner. You know, all of that copper, it's all trash. If I was a DSL customer, Starlink is on my #1 investigate this internet option list. Public enemy #1 is DSL, and satellite from Starlink has got to be a legit option for you. Even other satellite providers can't compete with Starlink. I'm looking at these latencies from like Viasat and HughesNet, and they're like 700-800 millisecond, 1,000 millisecond. Starlink's at like 40 right now, 35. I've seen the screenshots. Every time Starlink successfully launches more satellites, it creates that capacity and coverage where they can support more people in a given area, plus in new areas as well. I guess they want to put layers of satellites, varying distances in terms of how far they are from the Earth. So I think as of right now, they've got a bunch in the 614 kilometer range. They want to get some in the 340 kilometer range, so that would help the latency a lot. I think at one point in the near future, they want to launch 400 satellite or more launches. That's massive, because I want to say like one of the launches had like 60 satellites. That's nothing compared to where they want to be. So if you think about it, if they were launching 60 at a time, it would take them forever to create the capacity and that range. If they're launching 400 plus at a time, I mean, that's an incredible multiplier. So current licensing gives Starlink free range to launch up to 4,400 active satellites in orbit. I think they're at 1,700 right now, so if you guys think about it, the potential is going to be incredible. Someday, not too far off, I think Starlink will be ubiquitous as a provider internationally. So it doesn't matter if you're in Russia, Alaska, it doesn't matter if you're in, you know, Dominican Republic or Ecuador or freaking the most southern part of Chile, right? South Africa, Zimbabwe, India. They got you covered. Seriously, man. In some of the most remote areas, this is going to work. And of course, rural America, right? So middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, middle of nowhere, Montana, you know, middle of nowhere, Idaho. You know where my oceanfront property is. Oh, man. This is going to be really good. Honestly, if Starlink gets to the point where it has parity with cable, it's going to bury DSL. It's going to compete with or be better than fixed wireless in a lot of use cases. And you don't need fiber in those places that are so remote or difficult to get infrastructure to. Oh, let me throw this in also. They just purchased a company called Swarm, a satellite technology company. That's really unusual. Typically, we don't see Starlink trying to buy other companies and their intellectual properties. But apparently that's what they're doing here. So they're buying Swarm's intellectual properties and assets, which I think is like 120 satellites or something like that. Again, they usually like to develop their own, do all their stuff in-house, their own intelligence, their own research and development. But it looks like this company, Swarm, has something that I think Starlink was going to do or wants to do, but they're already far ahead in it, and they could just buy it, and it's more cost-effective than to do their own R&D and waste the time. So they are, I believe, an IoT-focused company. I think what they do is they work on IoT from satellite to ground. I don't know. They do like satellite to ground antenna communications. So they've worked in like, I want to say like agriculture settings, environmental applications. Pretty much this is going to give them an enterprise shortcut. I think this gets them into some business operations pretty quick. So it puts them in play for those types of things. Man, I'm saying, MS, good point. And thanks for that super chat. He said, we need all forms of connection. VDSL 2 Plus, Starlink, LTE, the whole shebang. I totally agree. Bring it on, right? And the question was asked, and there are 67 votes. Is Starlink real competition to T-Mobile home internet? And I have an answer for you all. 2/3 of you said yes. 67% of you think Starlink is real competition to T-Mobile home internet. I totally agree. I think that Starlink is going to be a direct competitor with T-Mobile home internet. There are some people who will have T-Mobile home internet as an option. I don't know, maybe there's like a recent upgraded site near their home in rural America. Let's call it Sneedville, USA. Population 300. Cornfields everywhere. And T-Mobile tower site just got upgraded to N71 and N41. It's a mile away. The RSRP is high. You guys know with rural tower sites that you can put them up high and there's very little obstruction. The N41 propagates excellent. Speeds ranging between 400 and 500 megabits on the downlink, 50 to 80 megabits per second on the uplink. Starlink can match that. So then it becomes this. Whose hardware is better? Whose service is more reliable? Who do you go with? Now, T-Mobile sells their product for $60, $50 with autopay. I hear it's going to end up at $60 eventually, permanently. So we'll just call it $60 without autopay. Starlink sells there for $99. They've got a deposit that you have to put on hardware. T-Mobile just sends you the hardware, right? So it's a little bit different. It's not exactly the same, but I tried T-Mobile home internet and I had problems with their hardware. They got to get that fixed. As of right now, I would rather have the Starlink here at my residence where I live. Now, if I was in Sneedville, USA, and I was getting some really consistent N41 coverage, I might go with the T-Mobile home internet. But I would still definitely look into that Starlink. Now, if there was not an upgraded satellite tower from T-Mobile, maybe it was upgraded like 2 years ago before N41 was on there. It's not even close. N41 would be the only reason to go with T-Mobile over Starlink. That would be the only reason. No other way. Now, honestly, if I was out in the middle of nowhere, I would have both. Type the number 1 if you agree with me. Type the number 2 if you disagree. If I was in rural America and I had T-Mobile home internet and Starlink, I would have both. I know it's redundant. You're going to be paying $160 a month for service. But that redundancy and having that backup plan is smart. What if the T-Mobile tower goes down and that's your primary connection? You've got a backup. You've got Starlink. Or if Starlink is your primary and that goes down, I don't know, whether something happens to your dish, it overheats, I don't know. You got the T-Mobile option. I would run both. Especially if you're talking business, right? If you're Zoom meetings, if you're running some type of live streams like Sneed, right? We're in Sneedville, USA, and you live stream as part of your, operations on your YouTube channel and such, and you're monetized, that would be important. Maybe you got to be, you're gaming, you're a professional gamer. You can't jeopardize it, right? Okay, so like I said, I think what happens if both go down? I mean, James, what are you supposed to do? You got 2 options and both go down. You're screwed. You did your best. You did your best. Maybe a hotspot off of your Verizon line or your AT&T line. Oh, get Los Mobile. Seriously, as an unlimited data option. All right, let's go ahead and transition over to this next piece. Fiber. The great fiber rush, like the gold rush they taught you about back in like grade school. Okay, fiber is on fire, my people. This is a direct quote from Corning executives. Corning is a fiber company. They're a glass company. They do work for Apple. They do work for all types of companies. They're a huge company. We've never seen anything like this before, is the exact quote from their execs. So executives at Corning are absolutely shocked at the fiber demand. They say it's beyond anything they've ever seen, and this dates back several decades. I'm sure that Corning sees nothing but money signs. What's up, Big Los? So the fundings, the programs, the profitability, all of it points to fiber having a huge renaissance over the next several years. The catalyst or the spark of what's causing this rush of fiber is the pandemic. It has completely stressed the need for networking and effective networking, capacitive networking. So the capacity, the availability, the infrastructure, all the resources and all the requirements that most businesses and most operations for jobs require, they need that investment. Rural America is going to be a huge beneficiary of this. Underserved areas, municipal fiber installations, private companies installing fiber. All right, so, private networks. I mean, don't forget about commercial networking too. Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Pilot, right? All these companies that install fiber. Estimates are, these numbers are crazy, 60 plus million homes are going to be receiving fiber in the next 3+ years. So they're basically saying by 2025, 60 plus million new homes with fiber. Prior to the pandemic, this is where things get interesting. Prior to the pandemic, the estimates were likely closer to 40 million. So we're talking about a huge increase to the forecast. So if we were estimated to have 40 million, now we're at 60 million. That's a 50% increase, ladies and gentlemen. 4.3 million of the forecast is probably due to the new rural funding, right? The government funding for the infrastructure. They're saying that 16 million is from the federal infrastructure bill. And then, so 4.3 million due to rural funding, 16 million from the federal infrastructure bill. So those two pieces together. I don't know what you guys are doing with your careers. If you don't like your job, go and quickly get trained in installation of fiber. Do it. Like, get whatever training you require, get whatever certifications you need for this type of work. I don't know what it takes, honestly, but I talked about this in another video and another podcast. You're going to be busy because the labor demand is going to increase. The fiber orders are increasing, the fiber installations. You got 5G application, the cellular piece, private networking, the fiber to home, AT&T's killing it, right, with their fiber penetration. Data centers need fiber, tons of it, and it's all fiber optic. All services need and run on fiber. So who exactly is Corning and why are they commenting on this? Corning is a 50-year veteran of connectivity experience. They've been doing this type of thing for a long time. They're a multinational company. They probably make over $10 billion in revenue annually. They've got multiple plants in the U.S. All of their metrics are going to the moon. I don't know if anybody out there is an investor. Maybe Corning means something to you because of this. Maybe fiber companies are a good investment. Maybe check out a fiber ETF or these types of infrastructure companies with supplies. I don't know. I would do it. Honestly, it would make a lot of sense. Corning is expecting a fiber renaissance. I think they're right. I don't see why not. Last topic, and then we're going to transition over to the Technoid channel. The Verizon TracFone acquisition is a go, unfortunately. I just want to start this by saying I actually don't support Verizon acquiring TracFone. I don't like seeing these types of deals. The problem with TracFone is TracFone operated on its own. It was a standalone company with like 20 brands or something. Nobody owned TracFone from the U.S. mobile network operators. So not AT&T, not Verizon, and not T-Mobile, not Sprint. And, when I heard that Verizon was going to be acquiring them, a piece of me was disappointed because I thought TracFone was successful in standing alone. The problem is that Verizon never really did well in prepaid. They never even really tried. So this is clearly a grab to get prepaid market share because AT&T has Cricket as well as doing some other MVNO deals. T-Mobile has Metro by T-Mobile, and they've got their MVNO deals as well. And then Sprint was huge with MVNOs and Lifeline program especially. So that's why this is important. Anyways, that's kind of like where this is coming from. Many of the public groups that were questioning and kind of pushing back on this acquisition, they have withdrawn their objections. So this is all on the heels of Verizon giving commitments to the Lifeline program and other general concerns about the acquisition. Big shout out to MS, Los Mobile, the next best thing to fiber in rural USA. I have to agree, man. Big shout out to Los Mobile. Yeah, the commitments they gave, I think it was 3 years to Lifeline support. No added copays, so people can keep their same pricing. I think Lifeline has 1.7 million customers utilizing that subsidy. Verizon, I guess, initially didn't want to support the Lifeline piece or make any concessions. And I think that they decided to start making these commitments because they realized that pressure from these groups, especially today's FCC, it's not the last FCC. This is a very different FCC. Jessica Rosenworcel, she's a new face there as a leader. She is the leading chairwoman, I think. I don't know if she's going to be permanent. They got to get a fifth commissioner anyways. But yeah, there was a lot of resistance to this deal. So Verizon figured we're going to have to bend. We're going to have to. We'll make these commitments to make the deal happen. And they're hell-bent on making it happen. I still have some concerns. I know Peter Adderton on Twitter, the Boost founder, he's got his concerns, and they're very warranted. I'm concerned about a couple of things. Number one is brand consolidation. What's going to happen? What is Verizon going to do? TracFone has like 20-plus brands. What are you going to do? Shrink it to 2? 5? I would actually want to know what Verizon's going to do. I would ask them, what do you plan on doing with all the brands? Because you got like, what do you got? You got Total Wireless. You got, I don't know. There's so many of them. I don't know. I'm sure people could go to the TracFone listing and pull up all of them. That there's so many of them. How many brands get consolidated? How many do they keep or market? Another thing is employment. How many people are going to be working? How many jobs are going to be lost in this? Since they're going to consolidate brands, probably. I don't know. Pricing is important. No price increases. Just because you got this huge chunk of prepaid business doesn't mean you start charging people more money and raising prices to be more profitable. So I think you got to freeze lock those pricings, keep them competitive. You're going to change plans, Verizon. You're going to start offering less data. So basically making it a worse off experience. Oh, and by the way, I think I'd also throw in some fines for infractions if they violate the terms and the concessions. So I would want to see a couple other things being handled, honestly. At the end of the day, I don't like to see acquisitions of big companies, acquisitions of the little companies. But if they're going to happen, you must regulate them just to make sure that those companies just are not destroying competition. Because we saw what AT&T did all those years to all those smaller companies. They just bought them out and eliminated competition. They did that for 100 years, 150 years. And Verizon acquired assets and made acquisitions. T-Mobile did the same thing. I mean, look what they did to Sprint. Sprint was bought and sold for parts. All that Sprint was used for was T-Mobile wanted the 2.5 gigahertz. They wanted the spectrum, right? And they wanted the customers. They didn't care about competition. Actually, in my opinion, I think T-Mobile is pretty anti-competitive. Mike Sievert is competitive in the sense that he'll compete in the marketplace, but he'd rather destroy a carrier. You could kind of see what they're doing with Dish, and you can see what they did with Sprint, right? But in my opinion, this is not a win for consumers, honestly. But if it's, if you get the concessions right, if you get them to commit to certain things, I think you can win a little bit. But honestly, I don't see a better prepaid world where there's no TracFone. But the problem is, it looks like American Mobile wants out. It looks like, Carlos Slim wants out, and he's going to take this $3 billion in cash and this $4 billion in Verizon shares, and he's just going to sit on that. So, yeah, what are you going to do? You win some, you lose some, I guess. Anyways, we are going to transition over to the Technoid channel. We'll go over there and we'll hang out with Mike. We'll see what he's got to say about the iPhones that are up and coming, the Google phones, which both of those phones I'm very excited for. All right. I think he's also going to be talking about the Galaxies, the foldables, the flips. I actually like the flip idea. Anyways, I'm headed over there. I'll see you guys there. Technoid, I'll be retweeting him on Twitter too, so if you need a link, I got you faded. All right, thank you to everybody who offered a super chat. Appreciate all my mods and everybody that's here in the live. So let's do some transitioning, shall we? If you are new here, it is your first time catching a live stream or a video from the SMT, subscribe and become a member of the SMT community. What else do we have going on with the SMT community? We got the Patreon page. You can support us there as well. There's a link in the description box. And that wraps up the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being a part. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you are here at the live, to live crew, hashtag that. Let's hashtag replay crew for those that are catching this on DVR. Hashtag ravioli gang if you were snacking or eating dinner while you're watching this. And big shout out to my moderators, hashtag mod squad. You guys are amazing. Thank you so very much for all that you guys do. And I hope to see you soon on the next live stream and the next video. Let's go over to the Technoid channel. Yeah, peace. If you hung around, I know why, but we're going to make it a quick one because we got to get over to Technoid. Yeah, peace.